Coming up is the recording from my presentation at Founder Institute Sacramento. I share 3 approaches to revenue that has helped me grow this very business. I talk a lot about the macro and the micro stuff. I loved it. Got a lot of great feedback from this very presentation, and I hope you enjoy it as well.
You get the back of my head in there real good.
Yeah, I've got to get your skillfully knee, actually. Yeah, so he started off just making a few $100s a month with no idea of what he was doing. But then in 2013, he decided to start a podcast so he could pick the brains of app creators that he admired, including co-founder of Shazam, Tapbots, Crossy Road, etc. And that changed everything. Now Steve runs an app marketing agency, appmasters.co, where he's helped clients get featured by Apple, hit the #2 paid app overall, and get coverage on TechCrunch, Mashable, VentureBeat, and other major publications. He also writes for the Huffington Post, Entrepreneur.com, The Next Web, Lifehack, and his blog, appmasters.co. Did y'all get the website? Mm-hmm. So with no further ado, let's welcome Steve.
That was a very worded intro. Thank you guys. I was more nervous sitting down trying to give the numbers than I am up here. Oh, here it is. So, thanks for the intro. Talking about revenue. Now, let me see. This is who I am. Look, everything changed when I was a startup in San Francisco, just doing growth hacking, like a lot of online marketing stuff. And then I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I know a few of you might know this, but I sold cassette tapes when I was young. So I didn't know what that path to entrepreneurship was going to look like. But I just felt like, hey, I'm going to work for a big company. So I worked for Walmart.com. I'm going to learn everything I could. Still had no idea how I was going to become an entrepreneur. And so I want to start off this talk with revenue. And we're talking about like, okay, here's some tactical things. But also in a broader scope, I've been doing the podcast for 4+ years. And I ended up leaving my corporate job 7 months after starting the podcast. Because all I was trying to do was just really learn from people in the app space, people I really admired, right? And through that, built up an audience who then started coming to me. I was like, hey, yo, hold up, I don't know that much yet, right? But enough started coming that ended up leaving. And now we're in our 4th year, and things are phenomenal. And you can see the seeds and the connections I was building as I was just really trying to learn from people, and that has grown. So the more connections that I made, the people that knew more of me, the revenue has taken off too. But you can see the effects. While it took a long time, you see the fruits of that labor in the 4 years. So I wanted to kind of talk about that too, that if you're on the verge, like, hey, I want to do this thing, like, I want to start talking to people, I want to do a podcast, whatever, I say do it. It's been the best thing that's ever happened to me. I would have met Mariah if I hadn't done the podcast too. Alright, that's the podcast. So I'll go in, Mariah talked about this, but we've helped a lot of clients get featured. 5 in 2017, and then, so, it's just, we focus on app marketing campaigns that really drive downloads on a budget. That's essentially it.
You said it one more time?
Oh, Ricky, that's 2. We focus on app marketing campaigns that drive downloads on a budget. So that's essentially what we do as a company. So I'll just go into, I didn't want to talk about like just numbers and keep it focused on that. I felt like on a broader scope, here's what I've seen when I've talked to a ton of people, because I talk to a ton of people who want to work with us, I talk to a ton of people on the podcast, so just the learnings from all this, right? I think so many times we focus on, Jabal, I'll pick you as an example, but you focus on the data, especially engineers that I talk to, like, oh my goodness, I'm going to build this platform, I'm going to get all this data, and I'm going to sell this data. Right? And you focus so much on that, the outcome, and not enough on like what is the real value that I'm bringing to the table. Who am I targeting? Who are my customers? What is the value of this product that I'm building? I think too many times we just focus on big data, I'm gonna sell this thing, blah blah, and too much on the outcome, and not enough on like who am I really helping here? Like I know who I'm helping. I'm helping the indies, the startups, really figure out the app space, right? Trying to really drive a tremendous amount of growth on a really tight budget. That's who I'm helping, right? But I didn't say, hey, look, I'm going to drive massive downloads, I'm going to make millions of dollars, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not talking about the outcome, I'm talking about the value first. So that's what, like, shit about all this data crap, like, you gotta get to first base first before you can hit the home run, score the run, right? So,
Thomas Harrison Ford.
I think I was Googling something else. I'm kidding. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was being religious about how you make money, right? So I'll just give you the backstory. When I left my startup job, I had a great consulting client. I was like, perfect. You know, I was like, bam, first month, I made up the money that I was giving up from that job. It was great, right? And then I thought that it was very popular back in the day. Like, you're gonna make courses, sell video courses, you're gonna do apps, I'm gonna be great, right? And I had this preconception. But back in, so all that, none of that worked, right? 4 months into being on my own, my consulting client, which made up half my revenues, left, gone. And I was like, holy shit, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, you never want that.
Earmuffs. But I was like, what am I gonna do, right? And so I just did everything, right? I was like, all right, I'm gonna apply for part-time jobs. I'm gonna go back to my old boss and be like, hey, do you need help with anything? Because I can help out, you know, like I got some time if you need some help. So I just did not get religious about how I was gonna make money. I was like, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur, that's it. Like, I'm gonna make it work. I'm gonna figure it out, right? And I think the first time I left my corporate job, I was like, all right, I'm gonna apply for YC, right, that's it. I'm gonna build this app, I'm gonna apply for YC, that's it. I'm gonna give myself 3 months, and if it doesn't work, then I'm gonna go back. I was very religious. This was the one way I was gonna make it, right? And this next time, I wasn't. I didn't care. I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and that was a big thing. Not necessarily how I was gonna make money. So you just gotta figure it out, right? Like sometimes it's just, you give yourself enough runway to just figure stuff out. And I bring up this example, you know, Airbnb, back in the day, they knew they were on some idea, they're running out of money, built up $40,000 in debt, right? So they're like, hey, we're on credit card now, right? What are we gonna do? Well, let's sell some cereal boxes, right? And it took off at the DNC, and they're like, how do we turn this? They made some cereal, they made $30,000 off this cereal, they just figured it out, they made it work, and that's when they got into YC, and the rest is history, right? So for me, it felt like, hey, let's not get too religious about how we're gonna get there. We have an idea, and let's figure it out. All right, the last thing, I'm gonna get really tactical here from a pricing and revenue model. Because I didn't want to focus on, like, I think you all know how you're gonna make money. Oh, I'm gonna charge a subscription, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I think you get that, right? I think the biggest problem that I see is, where's the perceived value? Right? It's so hard, because necessarily you can tell me your thing costs $100. For me, that could be cheap or it could be expensive, but there's no perceived value. But there was a study done, if anybody read Irrational. Oh,
Predictably irrational.
there you go. By Dan Ariely. Yeah. Love this book. So Dan Ariely, he says, okay, they tried this, right? They said we make very irrational decisions. So he had this pricing plan, right? This from The Economist. The first plan was a subscription for the online service at $59. Second was print for $125. And you get both for $125. Boom, easy decision. Perceived value, right? If you just look at $125, you might be like, that's really expensive. But because you're comparing it now, there's perceived value. I know what I'm gonna buy. So here's what happened. 84% bought the print, and then web subscription, when they had this, while 16% just bought the online version, the cheap one, right? But what happens when you remove one of these guys? So he said, all right, let's remove the middle one. All right, just flipped. Now, because I don't have the perceived value anymore, I'm just comparing the two, 68% bought the web only and 32% bought both. It just totally flipped. Now look, I'm a man of action, okay? I didn't just read this book and be like, that's a cool study. I've applied it, right? So we did the same thing at our previous startup. This is what we're selling. We're selling the subscription package. Hey, $30 or save 30% if you just sign up for yearly. Pretty cool deal, right? Well, what we're seeing was 60% they were buying the monthly, and then about 40% on yearly. Now, obviously, we want to get them on yearly, right? We get more money, they're going to stay longer. They only have to make a decision once a year rather than 12 times a year. And so I said, all right, I read this book. I was like, awesome, we got to try something. We got to do it. I got an idea. I changed it to this. Now, I made up this product. It didn't even exist. It didn't even matter to me. So you could buy whatever you want here, you get the same thing, right? Because we just wanted to run this test. All right, now I'm going to split this up monthly. I'm going to take out some of the features that are, I feel like, premium, and then the core features are going to stay, right? Because I know that they only want really 1 and 2. That's all they really want. But I'm going to test this. So here's what happened. We not only increased conversions by 233%, A versus B, we also saw 86% of the people going into yearly, and then 14% only picking the monthly. Again, it's perceived value. It's not about $300 is a lot of money, right? That's what they thought, until I showed them the $289, like, that's not that much more. I'm just gonna pick that one, right? So here's what it was. Side by side, 233% increase in conversions just by showing the plan. Again, it is all about perceived value. It works in the app space, it works in the fantasy football space. It doesn't matter what you're selling, it's just if you can show me perceived value right immediately, I'll pick the right one. I'll pick the one you want me to pick, right? I'm not even gonna make the decision. You're gonna tell me which one to pick. All right, that's my own thing. It's not necessarily what you're selling, in my opinion, right? It's also about how you sell. And I think that you guys did a great job on the pitches and kind of coming up in here. Here's the problem, blah blah blah. But I think if I can get sucked in, and then with the perceived value too, then you can say, oh, I got this, right? Like, oh, I get this. I get why Juan is building this. I get why John is building it. Right? It's not so much about what you're selling, it's about how you're selling it too. With your pitch, with the pricing, whatever it is definitely how you sell it. That's it. I'll open up the questions. Short, sweet.
Question.
You guys want some numbers?
Numbers are good.
No, I meant like, you want to rate me? Numbers?
So how do we hire you?
Just reach out to me.
So,
Yeah.
Do you think it's better for businesses to pay like per transaction or like a monthly subscription
It's up to you, right? I think for me personally, I just want them to pay. So it's all about figuring out what the lowest barrier is gonna be to get them to pay. Because all I'm doing, especially in the early stages, is validating that there's a need here, that people are actually willing to pay for this. Right? I've done both. I have a subscription-based service that started back in 2015 or 14. Didn't work. Now, 4 years later, I launched the same exact thing at the same exact pricing. I've had more customers in like 1 week of soft launch than I ever did that first year. So it's also about timing. Like I built up enough brand equity to be able to do the monthly recurring stuff, but I couldn't do it in the first year. And so I don't think, for me, it's like, if you're trying to sell something, it doesn't matter. Just be like, look, it's $100. You pay for it? Okay, cool. All right, I got something here. You know, my packages were still like $500 in the beginning. So I was just trying to figure it out. Oh, you willing to pay? Okay, cool. I'll take it. All right. Go ahead.
What are some best ways to, I guess, generate leads so you can get more customers, and how do you, end up closing them? So
You're the event space, right?
Yeah.
Who are you going after?
going up basically event promoters for concerts and festivals.
Where do they live? Where are they? Like online?
Well, where they live online, Facebook, Instagram, they usually promote it all the time on social media.
So, a couple of ways, right?
Mhm.
This is how I would hack the system. I would say, hey man, can I interview you real quick? Right? I'm starting this little blog or YouTube channel. Just want to interview you real quick. What are your struggles, right? Like, talk to me about how you become a successful event promoter. Right? That's it. Like, don't be selfish about it. Really try to learn from them.
Okay.
That's an easy yes for them, right? Make it an easy yes. And then you go, great, awesome. And then they're like, hey, what do you got going on? Oh yeah, I got this whole thing, blah, 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 whatever. So I think, for me, I think everybody's a brand, you know? And so if you start building that brand, you get that easy yes. If you want to be more salesy about it, just target them on Facebook. Like, you can target people with titles of event promoter, right? Or like Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups. Just get in there and start creating good content to help them. But that's what I would do first. It's just hack it. It's going to be a long-term play and a short-term play. But you can do both.
Okay.
just gonna be easy.
What are your thoughts on a freemium model for SaaS-based productivity apps, and have you tried
Yeah.
those, done any type of testing on those?
So, I would say it works. I believe everything works. Like if you look at Evernote, they're struggling right now. They can't get people. They gave away too much, right? So you gotta really figure out, like the slide I said, I knew the core features. I knew what my customers wanted. If you don't know what those core features are, you're never gonna figure out what they're gonna be paying for, right? So it's not about, yes, it would work, or would it not work, or can I just charge them up front? All that works. You can do a trial and you'd be fine with it, right? And I might go that route just because then you get people to pay. But then you need to figure out what that core value is gonna be. Evernote's struggling with this, and I was like, oh, what do I need to pay? It's like, I'll be fine with the free one, forever, really.
Yeah, that was my next question. What is the expectation the people have for the free version? Because the upside is that a lot more people will download it, but do they really see any value in that? So versus something that is some other competitor that is paying, like what's your feedback or experience in that?
So give me an example.
So like Dropbox has started all the free versions of that, and people downloaded that. But sometimes like you can just download that free and just be with that. Versus people don't pay as much attention because it's free and you're not seeing any value to that. And once the same product you actually put for $29.99, they will actually pay more attention to that and use it. So in your experience, when you have marketed all these apps,
Yeah.
like where do we people, I mean, when they try to sell the free apps, what is basically better versus the subscription one?
I hate when people answer it this way, but I think it really depends. Because it really depends on what the core problem you're solving. I pay for invoicing software. I don't need a free plan. Like I tried some of the free plan, like I'm willing to pay for that junk because it's gonna get me paid faster, right? And so if you're talking about like Dropbox, then it's almost mathematical question. Hey, how much is my cost per user, and how many people are actually gonna end up converting? Then it's like, okay, well, if I know 1 in 10, then I might be able to give away some for free. But I think it really is to the core of like, are you solving a real problem, right? And if you are, if you're saving me time, if you're saving me money, I'm willing to pay for it. It doesn't really matter if it's free or not. Now for apps, obviously I'm gonna answer that a little bit differently, meaning that you probably, unless for certain categories, like maybe the kids category, maybe the productivity category, you're probably gonna have to be free. And then you're gonna have to figure out what the percentage, you're gonna have to figure out how to get them to upgrade. So.
If you're planning to offer a fairly robust professional level of your application, is offering a free version toxic to your offering?
So what's the offering?
So it's farm management software specifically tooled to the cannabis industry with an emphasis on organics.
I don't think you need it, right? Like, you're gonna charge a shitload of money anyways. And so you're gonna need to really walk them through every step of the way, right?
Yeah.
Like, these are customers that are willing to pay a lot of money, and you got a lot of hand-holding to do anyways to convince them to come on board. You know, I think it's gonna cheapen it.
That's kind of what I was worried about, yeah.
I'm always worried, my biggest fear is like, nobody's gonna want this. That's my biggest fear.
Does the free demo model work for that kind of thing? Like you can have the first 30
For a
days?
lead, get them as a lead. Look, we're gonna walk you through it, right? Even if I didn't have anything built, like a robust, when I hear robust, I'm like, it's gonna take a long time to build. Right? So I'm like, okay, how do I hack this? How
Sure,
do I get
MVP
faster?
versus,
But how do I hack that faster? Like, I've got this robust system. I'm gonna show them off. So here's how you do it. Da, da, da. We're about 3 months away from getting our beta. We'd love to have you on board. Can I get you signed up for our beta program? What do you say? Right now, we'll just hack it. It's just all screenshots. And I knew I would know where to click. Right? I'm gonna get on a WebEx with you, and I just know where to click. Like, this is what it's gonna work. You can upload your file. I'm gonna upload my file. Blah, 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 blah. Done. I want money first. So I want to prove out that it works before I get you to sign up for your contract. Very well.
What are some of the trends you see in terms of monetization in apps that are like different from any traditional model we see today?
Subscription. Everything's moving to subscription, like just like SaaS. I mean, I don't see apps as being different from whatever happened in the web, right? Like, ASO, which is SEO, right? Like subscription, which everybody loves. So I do see Apple moving towards a subscription model. You can just see that they're taking less money if you're a subscription app. You're not taking 30, they're taking 15. Some variables in there, but things are moving probably more towards subscription. And app developers, they're not able to sustain themselves, right? You're gonna find very few indie app developers making it to the app space because it's just acquisition costs are high and you're barely making money on each person, unlike SaaS, which
I'm trying to do a social, I mean, there's like a zillion apps out there where people are meeting people.
yeah.
My idea is it's gonna be,
Is it the dating one?
no, it's not dating.
Okay.
It's not.
I saw a dating one in there. Okay.
It's specifically like where you don't know like who you're gonna get until you check in. You pop up, I pop up. We're just there to do an activity. It's
Together. Yeah,
or
person.
groups, or it could be groups if because people might go, the first time they may not want to do that. But it's geared toward people that are gonna be the app's called undemographical, or not gonna care about the demographics.
Okay.
So that's my core user, but I was reading like the membership economy and kind of that got me going back and forth swirling like, okay, is this something that could be a freemium thing where people want to pay more to get like maybe vetted people that have gone through like a background check? So they can go, okay, if I'm in San Diego and I just want to hook up for this activity, I know this person has an actual profile and they're, likely not gonna kill me because on both ends of the app, I know you've checked in.
Not gonna kill me.
I know you've checked in. The app will know that this has happened and these vetted people. So there's kind of that security there. I'm trying to figure out some people said they would pay for it to be like, oh, I'm gonna cut you off right now. I would never pay for that. So I'm getting kind of all over the place stuff.
So a couple of things, because I hear this a lot too, right? Is what's your end goal, right? So sometimes it's like that type of idea, if you're gonna go free, you're gonna have to raise money. Right? If your end goal is like, I wanna be big, because when I hear that, usually there's a mismatch with what you want and what you're trying to achieve, right? So like, meaning, I don't know how to put that the best way, but essentially, I mean, it's so cool. But sometimes people will say, I want to be an indie developer. I want to do my own startup. I don't even care about going big, blah, blah, blah. Like, well, then you better charge, because how are you going to make money, right? And then if you're going to go free, like, well, you better raise a shitload of money, because then how are you going to sustain yourself for a very long time? Right? And then the second part from a launch strategy is go to a very highly congregated area. Like,
San Francisco is my.
not even that, like colleges, for example, who may not care about who we're trying to meet people, right?
Yep.
And so see if that takes off. Hey guys, I've got this app, it's kind of silly, but here's what we're gonna do. Would you be willing to check in at these restaurants whenever you check in, and maybe we make it work there? Because then I think it's so difficult to launch an app like that, because you need so many people on there, otherwise it's just gonna fail. So you have to stay really, really focused into a market and a region where people are, one, willing to take a risk, and two, they're just going to be in this area all the time.
Thank you. That's good. That's good stuff to chew on.
Hear that, Mariah? That was good. Yeah, well,
For an app strategy for launch, would you recommend going on the App Store and on the Google Play at the same time, or do you kind of stagger?
depends on how much money you got, right? If you can do both, I'd do both. Because you're, especially an app like yours, you probably need to do both,
Yeah.
right? So if you can do it, do it. And you've already got customers. If you're just testing out an idea, launch on iOS first, because that's where people are gonna pay, that's where most of the people are. So I would do that, but for your app, I'd probably just do both.
All right, well, we're gonna get you back up. I
Oh,
think
okay.
we're gonna stir up some more questions, so let's thank Steve again.
Thanks.
I'm telling you, I have been so impressed with this guy. He knows how to hack everything. He's like, talk about the fire hose experience. You need to subscribe to what he's doing, his podcast and all that, to soak up the wisdom, because he knows so many amazing people, and he's got so much inside of him.